Hi, this is Chris Buberg. I wanted to talk to you today about what happens in traffic court after you have a case. So let's say that you have a car accident and the police officer comes to the scene and the police officer gives the other party the ticket. And maybe they're charged with following too closely, maybe they're charged with reckless driving, and then they end up either prepaying that ticket, which is an admission of guilt, or maybe they fight the ticket. Maybe they hire an attorney and they go to court. And the problem then becomes if you are not there or a witness is not there, the Commonwealth or the government or the police officer, because in some places they don't even handle it with a Commonwealth's attorney, is forced sometimes to drop the case. And that doesn't make any sense because they got the ticket, you think to yourself. But the problem is when the police officer arrives on the scene, anything that he sees or anything that he's able to investigate, he or she, is going to be hearsay testimony in terms of they were not there. They were not an eyewitness, so they can't testify about how the case happened, how the accident happened. I have done plenty of traffic cases in Virginia, and the best defense is, Your Honor, there's no witness here, and anything that the officer would say is hearsay. And often those cases end up being dismissed. So why is it important that you go to court or that there be a conviction in the traffic case? What does that have to do with the personal injury case? Well, it has a lot to do with the personal injury case, because the first thing you have to prove in the personal injury case is that the other person is liable. And that means that they are the one legally responsible for the accident. So if they come to court and they enter a guilty plea or they prepay their case, which is considered an admission of guilt, that issue is already decided. The insurance company can't go behind that and say, well, the guy said he really didn't think he was responsible, or we think that there was fault on both sides. They could possibly still say that. But the issue of whether the person they insured is guilty is decided by his guilty plea. That's an admission of fault that can be used in your civil case. So it's very important to follow up on the traffic case. Now, you may think that, well, the police officer investigated the case, the Commonwealth's attorney is involved. If they needed me, they'll send out a subpoena to me. But the problem with that is they are incredibly overworked. If you've ever been to traffic court for your own ticket, you see that there might be 30 or 40 people there, 50 people there, and they all have court on the same day. And the Commonwealth attorney is basically letting the police officer handle the cases in terms of what happened to the cases. And you can tell they haven't necessarily put their heads together before because they're pretty straightforward cases and the police officer knows how to testify. But it's very, very rare, unless there's a great deal of serious injury or there's a higher level charge than a reckless driving or a following too closely, that the Commonwealth is involved ahead of time to the point where they subpoena witnesses. So just because you don't receive a subpoena doesn't mean that you shouldn't go and doesn't mean that your testimony isn't needed. So what you could do to find out the date of court, if the police officer gave you an exchange of information form, you should have the name of the person who was at fault. And you could go on the website of the court in the county where it happened. It's the general district court where traffic cases happen. And you can look for that person's name and you'll be able to find the date when they have court. And then you can show up on that date and approach the Commonwealth attorney or the investigating officer before court and let them know you're there and ready to testify. If you will follow this advice, it will be a great help in terms of proving the first element of your case, which is that the other person is responsible for the accident. And remember, I always tell my clients, never give a recorded statement. Thank you.